to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Brochel for the report of the superintendent and our recognitions.
Thank you, Mrs. Frenda. Welcome back, parents and students, to another school year. We got off to a great start. First item tonight are to introduce our student representatives. We have some folks visiting us from the middle school. They're representing our cross-country team. Teo Consola Kutsana and Grace Flaherty are here from the middle school to give a report. So I'm going to call them up. How you doing?
Good. Good evening. My name is Grace Flaherty, and I am a seventh grader here at BMS. My house is Rutgers. I'm on the cross-country team at BMS. Our first meet is September 24th against Mountain View Middle School. We are proud to say that this year there are 52 students of BMS participating in cross-country. Ms. O'Halloran and Ms. Incledon, our cross-country coaches, are very grateful for all the students of BMS that have decided to participate in the cross-country season of 2025. Although we haven't had a meet yet, we are already starting to see improvement in not only our running, but our ability to be able to work in groups from small to large. We are so excited for our cross-country season to officially start on September 24th. Here at BMS, we've been talking about a new upcoming event including running, color, and a whole lot of fun. This is our first ever color run at BMS. All donations from this event will be going to the American Heart Association. This is a mile run on the BMS campus. It will be taking place on Tuesday, October 21st, and will start at 6 p.m. This will be a fun activity that not only the students of BMS can participate in, but also guardians of students in our school. All people that shall participate in the run should wear white. This is because at the end of the run, we will be getting showered with fun colors, creating an exciting moment as we race to the finish line to finish the run. The students that partake in the event will be getting a few house points added to their house page, and students that have a guardian that will participate will get even more house points added to their house page. If you are interested in participating in the event, there will be a Google form on either your phys ed Google Classroom or on your Gmail that a guardian will have to fill out for you. We are excited to see you there. Now let me turn it over to Teo.
Hi, I'm Teo Consola Katsuna, and I'm in the 8th grade in the House of Rutgers. I'm also on the cross-country team. The events that I'll be talking about today are House Day, Sorting Day, and the upcoming 7th and 8th grade play. Next Monday, on September 22nd, BMS will enjoy House Day, a fun, competitive day on which the four houses, Rutgers, Duke, Penn State, and Princeton, will compete against each other to try to win. The house that triumphs will earn house points, not to mention a spot on the flagpole for its flag. The entire school gathers in either the gym or the football field at the polo grounds, having fun and working together to leave victorious. Also, we don't want students to forget that on Monday, we are asking everyone to dress in their house colors to promote the upcoming House Day and to promote school spirit. Now about Sorting Day. Yesterday, 5th graders were sorted into their houses, hence the name, during their lunch, and each student was put under one of the 4 divisions. After waiting in anticipation, since being given a letter, either H, O, M, or E, spelling home together, students can now understand what house they're in. Being in the culture and climate team, which helped in this event, I could see how excited the new students were. Now I'd like to talk about the school play that is coming soon. It'll be on the 20th and 21st of November, and 36 students from the 7th and 8th grade will be on and behind the stage in a theatrical adaptation of the Addams Family comedy. Be sure to come. Thank you for coming to this meeting and listening.
Teo and Grace, you all did a terrific job. Thank you so much. Just to pick up on one important point that they spoke about, the middle school has been doing some great work with the American Heart Association, And the Color Run there is a new initiative coming out of the middle school, and it's just something that is really beneficial, not only to the students there, but to our entire community. I'm a board member at the American Heart Association, and I represent the district in that work. And so it really is with great pride that I see how much we really are investing in heart health, particularly at the middle school. So for Teo and Grace, thank you for taking the lead. And I hope that you lead in the Color Run, right? You guys have to come in first. You're on the team. So looking forward to that. We have two speakers from the high school. They're going to be with us every month, Nolan Baker and Sophia Fazal Sarjui. And I'm going to defer to them. Ladies first.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sophia Fazal. I'm a senior. I'm honored to be one of the student representatives this year. A little about me is outside of school, I'm strongly committed to our school community. I play field hockey, winter track, and lacrosse, and I serve as a peer leader board member, key club secretary, and head of operations for the Hidden Opponent, and I'm also a member of Chorale. And some of the things that we wanted to talk about today was the phone ban. So this was definitely a big change for some of the students. I know it's a big change not having our phones in the hallways, and it was a big topic of discussion the first couple of days of school. But now, as 2 weeks have gone by, I think students have really adjusted, and it's part of their schedule now to walk into class, put their phones away in the phone jail, and really just focus on their schoolwork. I know a lot of students have responded positively to this. I've heard from a lot of students that this actually benefits them in class. It allows them to focus on their schoolwork, get their homework done, and really not really think about the distractions that they have on their phone. So I think this was very beneficial to all of us, and I think that we have all adjusted now. So it was a great outcome. Next thing we wanted to talk about are peer leaders. I think you all are familiar with the peer leadership program. So it is a group of selective students of upperclassmen, and we help the freshmen every year adjust to high school and also help new incoming students in every grade. And the peer leaders started meeting about 2 weeks ago, and we meet every Monday night. And the peer leaders are just bonding right now, but next Friday we are meeting with the freshmen, and I think this will be a great help for the freshmen to branch out and make new friends and really make those connections with the upperclassmen, and really just this gives an upperclassman a chance to help out any freshmen if they have any questions. We're there to let them know that they can always come to us, ask us anything, if they need help with anything. So I think that'll be really great for the freshmen and the upperclassmen. And also with peer leadership, we will be at back to school night to help out the parents navigate their way to their classes and answer any questions they might have about the student body or school spirit, which I think will be great. And the peer leaders are all looking forward to that. Also regarding clubs, a lot of our clubs here at BHS have boards, so we are hosting a club fair next week in the media center, and it's student-led. So the board of every club has its own table, and this is a great opportunity for all freshmen and other students to get involved. So I know right now all of the clubs are focusing on getting together, planning out what they're going to do for the club fair, and really just laying the ground for the school year in every club. And yeah. Also with Genesis, I wanted to give my point of view on that. Nolan will also have a few words to say about that. But I wanted to give my perspective. I was actually very affected by Genesis being closed today during the school days because I was a user of checking Genesis during classes. And it just reminded me to check my grades, so it has affected me a little bit that it's not open throughout the school day, but I think all the students will just adjust if it affects them. So, but yeah, I know Nolan also has a take on that. And also, regarding some sports. I know Nolan will also talk about the rest of the sports, but for our sports records, we have field hockey, which we have won 2 games and lost 3. Although we are working hard and we are trying to focus on our mistakes and get better for our next game. We had a game today, we lost, but it is okay because we're going to come back better than ever on our next game on Saturday, home at, I believe, 11 o'clock. And yeah, we're just improving. Our coaches are amazing, and they're helping us push through and hard work. And we've lost a couple teammates this year, but that's all good because we are pushing through, and we're really coming together as a team, which is great. And we've had a couple bonding dinners throughout the season, which was amazing, and I think the team is really united this year, which is amazing, and it is a great team overall. And regarding girls soccer, they've had an amazing season so far. They've won 3 games, tied 1, and lost 1. They're also a great team of girls. They are coming together every game so hard. They are amazing workers, and yeah, that's all I wanted to say tonight. Nolan will take care of the rest. Thank you.
Good evening, board and fellow residents of Bernardsville. I'm Nolan Baker, senior, as Sophia said, here at Bernards High School. I'm a member of the football and basketball teams and a 4-year member of the jazz band, so I'll be talking a little about music as well this evening. To start, she was just talking about sports, so Bernards football, 3-0, baby. We have a kickoff at 7 p.m. away at Voorhees this weekend. It's a bit of a hike, but feel free to follow online. And then we'll be back home next weekend against J.P. Stevens, playing for the division championship, which would be our 6th in a row. As for boys soccer, they are 4-0 on the year so far with a 19-3 goal differential. They are just crushing everyone, all the competition. So great to see that from them. Our tennis team, unfortunately, has stumbled a little bit with only a 1-6 record. But our cross-country team these two will be on one day, are 1-0. They've done very well at their meet. Also, to elaborate on what Sophia was saying about the phone ban, I was talking about it with our great principal, Dr. Nigel, and he talked about how the ban was instituted so that, during class, kids aren't so worried about, oh, what's this grade going to be, or they get distracted from their schoolwork because they're so focused on a past assignment that they just received a grade for. I personally have never been much of a guy to check it during the school day, so it hasn't affected me, and I hope that eventually, the kids will ease into it. Let's see, sports. So now I'll transition to music. We have a lot of new members in the jazz band this year. Mr. Tesler, the instrumental music director, sort of expanded the jazz band this year, having a lot more people for each instrument, because in years past, some folks would audition for the jazz band, and when they wouldn't get in, they wouldn't do music at all. So we've had a big influx in freshmen, and the biggest our instrumental music program has been in a couple years now. I think the biggest it's been in Mr. Tesler's tenure. We are hoping to go to Disney World again this year. It was a very successful trip, no hiccups apart from a delayed flight, but that wasn't our fault. It was, great experience, and we scored in the good category when performing, so we're hoping, assuming we're able to make it back this spring, that we can score higher and maybe break into the excellent or superior. Additionally, last time we went, the jazz band was not able to perform and be adjudicated, but this year Disney is allowing for that, so we are very hopeful that we'll be able to go there and get an adjudication. Apart from that, Dr. Nigel mentioned at our meeting yesterday about the prospect of moving the start of school earlier, and my economics teacher was talking about that, how we're behind than other schools in New Jersey on AP preparation because we start later than everyone else. And I think it's a great idea. Dr. Nigel also mentioned, when colleges start these freshman orientations that sort of cut into our school year, it's another win for that idea. And one of the things that's very important to him is that students have more time with guidance counselors, as so many students are applying to colleges, and especially early action, whether that be the October 15th deadline to the November 1st. I personally have a November 1st deadline to meet, and I'm sure Sophia does as well. So a bit of a stressful time of year for us, but we know we'll get through it okay, and we'll end up where we're supposed to be. So yeah, we are very strong advocates for moving the school year earlier, and I've heard a lot of positive things from both teachers and students who I've discussed it with. Apart from that, I believe that sums up everything we wanted to say. I noticed they mentioned the middle school play. Our fall play, I don't know the exact date, but it will be last year it was in late October, and they just recently held an interest meeting for it. Yeah, but that's all from us. Thank you so much for your time, board and residents, and I hope you have a good rest of the meeting.
Nolan and Sophia engaged in a competition at the high school. We had about 10 candidates to be Board of Education representative. And I did speak with Dr. Nigel about all the candidates who are all excellent and outstanding. On behalf of the board, I'd love to thank you for your robust reporting. It really does mean a lot to them to hear student perspectives and student voice. So I thank you, and I certainly thank Teo and Grace also. So very well done tonight, and great reports. For those of you that can't hear, we have a guest here tonight. We have a cricket in the corner that the TV may not be picking up, but it is here. But we're going to transition. We have some folks here from our middle school. I had a clicker somewhere here. So we have our first group that we're going to recognize are 8 talented students who are now in 8th grade and 9th grade. In the summer, they represented Bernardsville Middle School, and they were selected to participate in the New Jersey American Choral Directors Association Summer Honors Choir. So they were an ensemble who boasted SSA voicing, and bonus points for any board member that can tell me what SSA voicing is. Very good. Bonus points to Mrs. Ryle. Soprano, soprano, alto, very good. These kids completely memorized their music and in a full 2 days of preparation. And they performed at the Mason Gross Performing Arts Center, and they really did a beautiful job. So we have a recognition for them and for their teacher, Alyssa Juergens, who is here in the back. Yep. So I have some recognitions here that I'm going to read on their behalf. Resolution honoring these folks for their exemplary dedication in either teaching or singing in the NJACDA Honors Choir. Whereas the Somerset Hills Board of Education gives special honor and commendation to these educators and these students who exemplify dedication and excellence in singing and ignite a passion in students and ignite a passion in those folks that they work with. These faculty members and students have been a part of Bernardsville Middle School. They're invested in creating meaningful experiences for their students and for each other that inspire them to advanced levels in choral participation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Board of Education hereby commend these students and Ms. Juergens for their commitment to the middle school choral program. When the Somerset Hills Board of Education adjourns on this day, it does so in honor of their achievements. The Board of Education Secretary is directed to have this resolution reflected in the permanent minutes of the board on this 17th day of September 2025. I am going to call up Ms. Juergens. Come on up. Harper Watt. Jillian Pooler. Addison Pagel. Charlotte Mitchell. Margaret Morrison. Brielle Morrison. Olivia Hamada. Jillian Goodwin. One final congratulations to these great singers. You can see some additional news features on our website, and we have some district news features there that capture some great things that happened last year in our middle school, and it was a podcast that developed after the Youth Summit on Anti-Semitism that took place at the high school. And we do have a recognition for these young people and these young leaders to honor their work. And they have developed a podcast that you can listen to on Spotify and YouTube. And there's more information right on our website on how to do that. We have their teacher here tonight. Brett Cox is here, I believe. Is Ms. Cox in the back? Okay, how you doing? So tonight we have a resolution honoring Ms. Cox for her guidance and support of middle school students in their pursuit of raising awareness of and combating incidents of bias. Whereas the Somerset Hills Board of Education gives special honor and commendation to those who empower our young people to be change agents in their communities. Whereas Brett Cox is an integral part of Bernardsville Middle School and serves as an inspiration to both her students and her colleagues. Now therefore be it resolved that the Somerset Hills Board of Education, that the members of the board hereby commend Brett Cox for her committed involvement with the No Hate in the Garden State initiative, as well as her dedication to supporting student voices as they raise awareness of anti-Semitism and various mental health issues through their student-centered, created, We Listen and We Don't Judge podcast. When the Somerset Hills Board of Education adjourns on this day, it does an honor in the achievements earned by Brett Cox. Brett, come on up. And we have some students that we are going to recognize tonight as well that have been doing some terrific work in this area. The first is Amaya Ram, and she answered the call to raise awareness and combat incidents of bias with her peers throughout New Jersey, as demonstrated by her participation in the No Hate in the Garden State competition. Whereas the Somerset Hills Board of Education gives special honor and commendation to those who volunteered their time and their talents for their school and their larger community with sustained effort, responsibility, and a positive attitude. Whereas Amaya Ram is part of her school community and serves as an inspiration to her peers and to her staff members alike. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the board that members hereby commend Amaya Ram and her classmates for dedication to spreading awareness to the issues of mental health and anti-Semitism through the creation of We Listen and We Don't Judge podcast, and for her overall passion, creativity, and commitment to creating a stronger community. Amaya, come on up. Next student is Aaliyah Patanaik. Isabella Matos. Ashley Mann. Sienna Uckland. She couldn't be here tonight, and our last honoree is Catherine East. Congratulations to these student leaders and podcasters. I think it's such an important message that they've been able to spread. And certainly in the area of podcasting is not an up-and-coming skill, but it's a here, right now skill. And we're certainly thrilled to have some podcasting opportunities at the high school. And certainly the board continues to invest in that area as well into the future. So such inspiring work. So thank you so much to the students and congratulations. Next on our presentation roster for tonight, we have Dr. Edgerton and Ms. Barna that are here, and they are going to present the 2025 New Jersey Student Learning Assessment Student Data. Okay, must have been somebody there. Great seeing you.
I said I was worried it would just be Ricky and the cricket. It's like a band. Yeah.
Good evening, everybody, and here we're back with our exciting presentation.
Is it working?
Yes, it is. Let me see. So this is a very brief overview of what we're going to present now. We're talking about district state assessment performance data. Assessment took place in the spring of 2025. ELA assessment was taken by students in grades 3 through 9, and math assessment was taken in grades 3 through 8, plus all students in Algebra 1, plus geometry and Algebra 2 up to grade 9. Science was taken in grades 5, 8, and 11. We'll do some analysis within each data set. We will talk about multi-year trends and subgroup performance, disaggregated and aggregated. And we'll talk about our observations on student learning and next steps. NG's law assessment, summative assessment, and as you might have heard, that was our last year of summative assessments. Assessment did measure how well students learn grade level or subject level material and describe student mastery relative to state standards. Level 1 was scored as students did not meet expectations yet. Level 2 partially meeting expectations. 3 was approaching expectations, our students on the cusp. 5 was meeting expectations, and level 5 exceeding expectations. In science, there was a very similar grid, except level 1 and 2 combined, and that's new level, below proficiency level. Level 2 near proficiency, 3 is proficient, and 4 is advanced proficient. And science, again, as you remember, students only take once in 3 grade levels by grade band. This is very brief overview and general numbers of our proficiency. This is all together proficiency, all students who took ELA, math, and science tests, all across grade level, aggregated data, different categories, all students. So in ELA, you can see that this year we scored about 70.8, which is consistent with what we usually score in kind of low 70s. Again, for such small district as ours, a 1 percentage point is very easy swing. You can see that that happens all the time. State numbers are low 50s. In mathematics, we are in high 50s, state numbers in low 40s, and in science, we are at 45%, with the state numbers at mid-20s. And at this point, we'll go a little bit more in details by different subjects. And here I'm giving to Ms. Barna to talk about the LA.
Thank you. Okay, so here you see a breakdown of the Somerset Hills performance against that of the state. We have it broken down so that you can see the 4-5 is banded together because you remember that is passing. 3, these are students who are approaching expectations, and then 1 and 2 are partially and did not meet. We kind of like to look at the cohorts in this way. 1, because it helps us see those mid-range kids, you know, who are right there on the line, kind of where are they and how are we doing with all of them. And again, you're seeing results moving down the chart. We're looking at grades 3 to 9. This is that same information disaggregated into each individual level. So now you're seeing each leveled breakdown. You want to see the lower numbers near the level 1 and level 2, and then we want to see more and more kids moving into level 4 and 5. When I'm looking at this data, our performance is very typical from what we have seen. There were 2 grade levels for which we've begun doing a much deeper dive on, speaking with both the curriculum committee, and I have meetings set up with the building principals. Those 2 grade levels being grade 3 and grade 9. When you see the next slide, you'll see how they have a lower percentage than they did the year before, but we always want to put the little asterisk next to that of, remember, they're different kids. So it's hard to compare 9th grade from last year with 9th grade from this year. Totally different groups of students. However, we do look at trends in a grade level, and if we notice a dip, that's something that we want to look more into, which is what we've been doing these past couple days. Want to point out and shout out 7th grade and 8th grade, particularly 8th grade, with that high 87% of students who are passing this assessment. Students are leaving middle school well poised for high school. That is a really strong data point that we have here in the district. I also want to point out that as you track down the grades, more and more kids pass. So each school year, you know, we are getting more kids across that finish line. You see that same sort of trajectory of what we say, like once we get our hands on them, growth happens. So on this chart, we have, it's a lot of numbers, I apologize for that, but we have all the data that we have from 2015 to 2025. The dark band you see in the middle is when we did not give this assessment due to COVID. The reason we wanted to show you the information this way is because you can track cohorts of students if you follow the path of the diagonal. So it's easiest to see the yellow version right in the middle. You can see in 2018, those 3rd graders scored 62% passed. Then they moved into 4th grade, and now 64.8% passed. A bit of a jump as we dropped that COVID year, and we came back stronger. So we were not a district who lost during COVID. We came back stronger when they were tested again in 7th grade. 73.5% of those kids passed. So that's kind of the trajectory. Now, if you look on diagonals, you can watch cohorts of kids. So that's an easier comparison to make when we're thinking of like, oh, how did this grade do compared to how they did last year? The data shows us time spent here with us, they continue to grow. So they move, we get more kids across that passing finish line with each passing school year. So that's very exciting, and I think something that should be celebrated. Our staff works really hard, and our kids work really hard. This is the data of each subgroup for which we have to report. We are not allowed to report when a subgroup has less than 10 students because it's too individualized and could, point to who we were speaking to. So that's, if you see dashes, that's why it's numbers that we can't provide. At the top, you see the splits and the passing rates by demographic. And then in the other subgroups, you see students with disabilities, economically disadvantaged, and multilingual learners. Please keep in mind that students may fall into more than one category in the other subgroup data. So that's not going to equal a clean 100 because a student might possibly be all three of those things. Areas here which we are thinking about and we are looking into is we always want to think about our multilingual learners and if we are meeting their needs. So that is a number that we're looking closely at and working to think about. What are we doing? Are we catching them? When are they passing? How long before we get them across that line? Just to make sure that all of our programmings are doing what they need to do. Dr. Edgerton has a very similar slide, so we're going to sort of combine our observations and next steps together after she shares her math data.
Thank you. And this is a very similar data for mathematics. So you can see the first slide, compare our performance with the state performance, and we combine levels 1 and 2. If you remember, those are levels for students who do not pass state test. Level 3 are our students on the CASP who are very, very close to passing, and level 4 and 5 are passing with advanced proficiency. You can see that we want to be above state and as much as possible above state in the levels 4 and 5, and we would like to be below state level definitely in levels 1 and 2. You will notice then state performance when we look at the very rightmost column. Grade to grade does go down in mathematics. These are general trends from 49 to 46 to 44 to 39 and down to 38 and 37% for Algebra 1. We are not following this trend, and we are happy to say that our students keep growing, and they grow through middle school performance. And only in Algebra 1 you can see a slight dip, which is absolutely expected at this point. Another two lines I just want to bring your attention to. Keep in mind that grade 8 is not the entire cohort, neither is grade 7 or geometry or algebra 2. The only full grade or full cohorts are students in grade 3, 4, 5, 6, and algebra 1. Algebra 1 consists of all students who took this course from grade 7 to grade 12, all students combined. Grade 7 is missing our double accelerated students, so the very, very top math students, and still look, the performance level is at 68%. And grade 8 is missing our single accelerated and double accelerated students, so these are students who are in grade level mathematics. And then geometry and algebra 2 is quite opposite. Geometry is the cohort of our accelerated and double accelerated students, and algebra 2 is a tiny cohort of double accelerated students with the passing rate of 100, just as expected. Those are our top math students. If we'll go to next slide, this is a very similar slide, and we'll Here we're looking at different levels for just our performance. And again, you can see single-digit numbers in level 1. We would like it to be 0, but unfortunately, there's always a few students who are, still need a lot of support. And being a very small district, we absolutely looking at every single student to see what kind of grades students are getting and why, and what kind of supports are there or maybe should be there. So we're definitely looking at every single student. This is similar slide to as Ms. Barner was talking about. This is our multi-year longitudinal comparison. You can see on the very bottom district passing rate. And you can see that we did lose some passing rate proficiency over COVID years. However, we caught up the very next year. And while we fall a little bit behind in comparison with last year, we're still higher than the year before. And again, 1-2 percentage for us is a pretty consistent performance, and it's a statistically very small difference. Same thing as with ELA. We like to track students' cohorts and see that in general they are growing. In most cohorts, you can see the growth. For example, students are starting in grade 4 in year 22 at 59% passing rate, and then there may be a little dip, but they end up with 68% in grade 7. Again, the longer they stay in with us, the better they perform. And then again, in mathematics, it's especially important because state data is quite opposite. So we're happy about this. And this is last slide when we disaggregate data by race and by other subgroups, students with disability, economical disadvantage, multilingual learners. There's probably not much difference. It's consistent with previous years, and you can look at the numbers. I won't read them. And here we are with our observations and next steps. Well, a couple of first observations really briefly. Our grade level cohorts in general typically exhibit growth as they move across the grade. And our district-wide performance remained consistent in comparison with past years.
I also wanted to mention that Dr. Egerton and I went sort of into a deep dive into some of the numbers this year, which is a little bittersweet because it's the last data we'll get from this test. Dr. Egerton will speak to the test is changing. So it was like, oh, we finally got to this point where we were really getting into it and could really look at longitudinal work, and it's paused until we get, the next couple of years of data. But what I wanted to say is something that we did notice, which reassures us in this little bit of a transition that we're going to have, is that our internal metrics, both iReady in reading and math, and then even the teachers running records that they're doing in classrooms, match and are predictive of student progress on the NJSLA. So that helps us for two reasons. One, it gives us a really good, idea of which kids are going to cross that line, which needs more support. And then that's the key, that we can start to see early who's going to need more support. We can check in mid-year and we can see, where do we need to make adjustments for the individual students that we have. So that was really good news from our deep dive, that our internal metrics are matching. To that end, in our dive, we are working with building admin to really conduct in-depth analysis of specific target grades, 3 and 9, you may have noted in ELA, grade 5 in math. We're looking at a lot of information as possible factors for students who are not passing the assessment. One of them being attendance. And we are beginning to see a correlation between high attendance rates and students who did not pass the exam. We're looking at instructional minutes in the classroom. We're looking at where are their support placements across the year. We're really kind of digging in, almost to the individual level to kind of see what's going on in these spaces. We're hoping to work, well, not hoping, we will. We will work with the Director of Special Services and Director of Multilingual Education, again, just to ensure some of those targeted populations are getting the services that they need, or that the services that they are getting are matching what they need. So those are two, big areas we're kind of digging in to see what we can do for the students of the district.
Thank you, Ms. Barna. And the last bullet point, you can see that here we are addressing new NG slot test that's coming this spring, and in fact, we will be doing field test very soon, within several weeks. The format for new test will be adaptive, which is very, very different from the current test. We hope it will be similar for our students' sake to iReady, which students already taken for so many years, and teachers and students are familiar with format and what kind of data you can get. But for us, it will be something totally new, different platform, a lot to learn, many questions that we don't have answers yet. We're going on scheduled training soon. However, it does look more like it's technology training for now. We will have a lot of questions about what kind of, yes, the content itself, the alignment, everything, right? The structure, the length of time, different units, and then the grading as well. On that note, I will move to science, my second child. So here we go. This is first slide again, emulating what we did for math and for ELA. This is comparison with state. We are very consistent this year. All three grade levels are passing with approximately 45% passing rate. The state, as you notice, is passing at 30, and then 19 really for grade 8. And for grade 11, again, it's early 30%, lowest 30%. So we're definitely outperforming. The test is complicated, and this one is not changing. This one is us to stay, this particular test. Similar, second slide, again, same information. This is by level 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 is advanced proficient. So these are our students who did exceptionally well in science, and science involved a lot of reading and writing and mathematics, and it all needs to be compiled and presented in the right way. So these are percentage of our students who are passing and passing this advanced proficiency. This is our, again, longitudinal study slide. We don't have as many years for science test. It was only introduced in 2019, and it was done right before COVID, and then we came back to this in the year 2022. It is difficult to compare cohorts here. Again, it's a test that tests 3-year worth of knowledge. Those are totally different students. But our district passing rate, you can see we are back to about 45%. And this is a slide with demographics and other subgroups. Consistent with previous years. No big swings. You can see similar to last year within a few percentages. Very, very small cohorts in general. We're talking about 1 grade level, so in the middle school it could be under 100, and high school it's under 200. And that concludes the data portion. Other statewide assessments that we administer in the spring, it's access for MLLs, which Mr. Catelli usually reports separately, and dynamic learning maps. This is for our identified students, the most vulnerable, our special education students, and this is very individualized test that we don't publicly report on. And this is a slide, I'll leave you to read this. This is all information about the new test. The dates, the field test dates, and our expectations, what it will be. Again, we have, unfortunately, more questions than answers at this point. When we know, we will let you know. And finally, reports are in, and I know the envelopes have been stuffed as we speak. They should be out by next Wednesday. Thank you so much.
Can I ask you a question? So when you're doing the assessments of why there's the drops in the grade, is there anything that kind of could address, like, if the kids are maybe experiencing food insecurity? Like, is that something that kind of somehow factored in?
We didn't look particular on food insecurity, but our economically disadvantaged group is the group of students who are on reduced or free lunch. Like these are cohorts.
Right.
Yeah.
And they kind of fit in certain categories, but there's some people who may be in that category but aren't receiving. How do they do compared to those other Hispanic kids? How do they do compared to the ones who aren't receiving versus the ones who are? To see how much the insecurity may be impacting them at home.
I think we'd have to look into the different cohorts, right? Because we have data to isolate Hispanic, we have data to isolate free and reduced lunch. I mean, student by student is a way to look at that kind of data too, but it isn't a number that we've crunched.
Okay.
And we've also only had the data for a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
We're good, but we're not that good yet.
Before we get to any other questions, I would just personally like to thank both Olga and Lindsay. They do extraordinary work each and every day, and I just feel such admiration for both of you and gratitude for all that you do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you for your support,
Ms. Lorna.
everybody.
I know what you meant to say.
Oh.
That high absenteeism.
Yes.
You said high attendance.
Oh, no.
So,
Yeah.
so because you
Appreciate
had
it.
given us the presentation, so it might do well to say again, children that are frequently absent, and we're
Yes.
talking about what kind of numbers? 15,
Yes,
16?
double digits.
Double-digit absences are almost always performing low on these tests.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you.
Direct
And
correlation.
Ms. Cooper is going to report out during curriculum on that, so if there's a broader
Oh, good.
board as
Yes, appreciate the correction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, I'm here to land the plane for the superintendent's report, and in a minute, you will see an actual plane on the screen. We got off to a great start. We have 308 staff that we welcome back this year with some new personnel additions. And at Bedwell, we had 456 students on the first day of school, 388 at the middle, and 708 at the high school. The opening start of the year did combine certainly the students coming on the first day, but it also combined staff development and a district convocation, which was a great opportunity to talk about a host of different initiatives at the district level. So very productive and busy first 10 days. There's the airplane moving in and out of the screen. We had the passport to Bedwell event that the HSA sponsors every year, and this year was extremely successful, and it was just historically just a great event there. So special recognition for me for figuring out the animation, and I thought you guys would get a kick out of that. So Ms. Cupper is a teacher of French at our middle school. She also is certified as an ML teacher, and she won a national award for exemplary programs in French this summer. So we're very pleased to have her on staff, and she's doing some great work there. We have a new group of peer leaders, and we have Ms. Sampson, who's in her 10th year in the district, and Mr. Kaufman, who is in his third year at the district. They are the leaders of the peer leadership program at the high school, and it really is the hallmark of student engagement and student service and leadership development. And I'm pleased that we have Mr. Kay and Ms. Sampson leading our kids here. So they established a vision this year and a definition of what a peer leader is. And I'll quote their definition. A peer leader is a friendly and inspirational mentor and a student role model who values inclusivity, leads with strength and kindness, and cares about providing support to those in need, and is a guide to ease the transition to the BHS community. The peer leaders have a role in the 8th grade summit in June, and they help support new student orientation. They meet weekly with freshmen in small group sessions as well to ease in the transition. Looking forward, this program is deepening its impact through the expanded community involvement piece, and the peer leaders plan to partner with our neighbors here at Communities in Crisis to participate in service projects throughout the area. They're also hosting an October car wash. It promises to be the social event of the season. It's on October 11th here at the high school. So dirty car, bring it on by. We had a great community event that's become an annual event, and there are hosts of different partners that help to welcome students predominantly that come from families of Hispanic descent to the district, and we held our event on September 6th over at Kiwanis Park. And we talk about having a one-stop shop for the Spanish community, and that is the intention here. We had over 100 attendees, and Spanish-speaking families are able to get information and resources and have their questions answered by staff who were bilingual. The technology department helped support them through any Genesis matters. The transportation department assisted with busing, and our bilingual and ML department assisted with helping with forms, questions about the curriculum, and a host of other events. As you may be reminded, Mr. Catelli, who's our Director of Multilingual Education, is the primary organizer of this event. There are scores of community groups that also come and participate and are of great service to the school district and great service to our Spanish-speaking communities as well. Some of these groups have come to present to our committees and to the board, and they certainly are terrific partners. And we have some great photos from the event there, just helping folks out. You see Officer Maldonado, and you also see Dr. Butler in one of those photographs as well. So a lot of great cross-section. Oh, and you were the photo. Yes, photographer. So I was instructed to point you out. So it was certainly a great event, and it's historically one of my favorite events of the year. Cross country is off and running. The boys team comes in ranked as number 10 in the state. And certainly they're looking for another strong year. The girls team is smaller in numbers, but some of the runners there are really, really terrific. We have a nice mix of experienced runners and newcomers there on our girls team. And the girls are looking to qualify for the state championships for the 9th consecutive year and to repeat as the division champions as well. Just quick message on how to get a variety of communications from the district. Every third Thursday I'll have of the month, I'll have messages from the superintendent. We will certainly use our email system to communicate district news. The superintendent reports get posted after each board meeting and do get sent out Every Monday following the board meeting, we have a brief, a one-page brief that gets sent out to the public with some links for them to check. We have a newsletter called Pathways that gets distributed every other month as well, in addition to our Friday folders. Doing some work on behalf of the board. Some discussion has come up. We had kind of like a 2-year check-in on how we're conducting our own work as we have a committee structure, and we've been looking at how is the committee structure working, how are the scheduling of committee meetings working in comparison with the scheduling of the regular public meeting. There's no common preferred structure amongst the group. There's no real consistency there. Some members like the buffer as it is now, as far as when committees are scheduled and when the regular public meeting takes place. They like that week buffer in between. Other members that have experienced more of a streamlined committee meetings the week before kind of prefer that. There were also in our committees some considerations for the committee chairs for the timely filing of their reports, so the entirety of the board is well informed in advance of coming to the dais. So we were able to field a host of different thoughts and opinions, and maybe going to try to thread the needle as we move towards reorganization in January. Which is an annual meeting. There are a lot of different ways to sort of solve some of these challenges. One of them is to meet a little closer to the regular public meeting, but maybe not so close where committee chairs may not have enough time to file their reports on behalf of their committee for the whole board. Another solution is to have a work session structure or a committee of the whole structure. And I do have some significant experience and some opinions on how beneficial that is overall. And some other considerations that we talked about was to make a plan and to commit to it, and on the administrative side to really focus on the agenda development process with the committee chairs. So those were kind of the major outcomes of our discussions, but I think it was a good check-in and a good exercise for the board, and I wish you well in the future coming up to consensus. A little levity here tonight, a little joke. Okay. I did get a laugh. So we had an anonymous donation in the amount of $50,000. The board approved and accepted that donation last spring. The donation was directed to refinish the lower gym floor. That work has started. We've also ordered a floor covering to protect it during some activities down there, and things are on schedule. There's a quick photograph of the current status. Right now, they're in the process of sanding the floor down, and then they will build it back up. The floor itself will have a bit of a lighter color in comparison to what you see, a bit of a darker color there. So it's going to be a lighter, brighter floor. So looking forward to that for the kids. We have something here that we do every other year called Saints and Heroes Among Us in Somerset Hills, and every year or every other year at our convocation we will point out the great things, large and small, that our staff do and that are noticed by others. And our 2003 honorees are behind you, and our 2025 honorees were honored earlier this month. Manny De La Paz is an employee in our transportation department that offers a significant value with our Hispanic-speaking communities. Deb Meyer works over at the middle school. Anna Sosley is a counselor at the high school. Dan Kaplan is a teacher at the high school. Annie O'Halloran is a teacher at the middle school. My good friend Connor Flynn is our webmaster. And Don Russo is currently at the middle school, formerly of Bedwell. Lynn Jay is a kindergarten teacher at Bedwell. Lauren Bollison is a high school teacher, and Alan Thurlow is a teacher at Bedwell. They were honored during our district convocation, and it just gives us great pleasure to point out to you all that they are doing things large and small that maybe not everybody sees, but we certainly appreciate. Just by way of an update, the Somerset Hills Board of Education is going to have a joint meeting with the Bedminster Board of Education on October 29th. We're going to have it in our media center. It's going to start at 6:30. We have been awarded with a grant from the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs to conduct what's called a regionalization study, and we will have a presentation by the Sweeney Center for Public Policy, and that's led by the Rowan University School Regionalization Institute. They will present to both boards how they intend to do their work, and then it is my intention to recommend as the lead grant, as the grant lead, it's my intention to recommend them in November to the board to approve a contract there. The study will determine whether or not regionalization is feasible and if any variables have changed since the last time we conducted a study, which was in 2003. To be clear to the board, the regionalization study does not bind you to do any one thing, but it does put you in the position to have information in which to act in the future. So I just want to be clear with the community there that doing a study just means you're doing a study. So at this point. And Ms. Frenda, that does satisfy my report to the board.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brochel. If I may, I just wanted to give a little editorial regarding the Saints and Heroes recognition, the way that is teed up, and the celebration and recognition of these individuals is an absolute heart-tugging experience, and when it is framed within the context, I don't remember the name of the movie that the clip is from, but every one of these teachers and staff members who was honored in 2023 and this year in 2025 fit that mold to the greatest extent imaginable, and we're very fortunate in this district. So I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of that. But moving on to the business that we have ahead of us, we're going to move into our public comment section for actionable agenda items. And I am just going to say this once, but I just want to tee off by saying, for those that are not here this evening, whether you're watching live at home or later, we understand that everyone can't be here in person, but we very much encourage you to reach out to the board with any concerns, questions, feedback, anything you want to share with us via email. All of our board email addresses are accessible via the website, but also Mr. Ligori, who is both our business administrator and our board secretary, all of his contact information is available on the website. You can reach out to him if you have any communication that you would like to share with the board, and just ask him to disseminate to all of us, and he absolutely will if you are not looking to reach out to each of us independently. So I encourage everybody to take those opportunities so that we can hear from you. But for the purposes of this meeting, we very much welcome input from the public. Public comments are welcome at this time on any actionable agenda item. Towards the end of the meeting, there is a second public forum on any topic. Please state your name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you will be interrupted and asked to pause to allow any other members of the public who would like to speak an opportunity to do so. An individual may return to the podium to complete their statement after everyone else has had an opportunity to speak, for a total of 2 times at the podium. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as a question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board feels there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment. In accordance with the New Jersey statute, the board will not discuss matters regarding specific personnel. Public comments will be limited to 30 minutes. A reminder for all parties in attendance to remain respectful, and that there should be no interaction between the speaker and the audience. No members of the audience should interfere with or interrupt the speaker's comments. We thank you in advance for your input, and if anybody would like to come to the podium at this time, Mr. Ligori will set his timer for 3 minutes, so just please be mindful of that timer if you're speaking, as it counts down your time remaining. Is there anyone who would like to make a public on an actionable agenda item?
Something that you already have up, or something?
Yes.
Then I apologize, not related to an agenda. I'm new
That's okay. That's okay. I sped through my little reading here, so, but yes, there is a second public comments section at the end on anything. Thank you. Okay, great. Is there anybody else for actionable agenda items? No? Okay, can I get a motion to close public comment, please? Ms. Santoro, and a second? Ms. Rye, thank you. Okay, so then we can move on to the approval of the minutes. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion to approve the public input and action and executive meeting minutes for August 27, 2025. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve? Mr. Baker, Ms. Cooper, a second. And is there any discussion regarding the minutes? No? Okay, then roll call, please, Mr. Legori.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Clark Emery.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Gills.
Yes.
Ms. Santoro.
Yes.
Mrs. Rye.
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I will pass it off to Mr. Baker for the report of business operations.
Thank you. The Business Operation Committee met September the 2nd for about an hour and 15 minutes. All members were in attendance, along with Dr. Broschel and Mr. Legori. We talked about 8 items, and I'll go over them in no specific order. One item was we talked about the Bedminster tuition reconciliation. The third-party auditor completed that work for the 23-24 school year, and they used the state formula, and it came out that Bedminster owes us $715,566, and that includes the special education resource room of about $34,000. Those numbers were higher than expected because Bedminster sent about 10 less children to us during that period that we expected, and we had a lot more capital projects, and our health benefit costs were much higher than expected. We talked about the girls wrestling team. There's about 5 to 7 girls are interested in girls wrestling, and we're going out to find a varsity coach on that, so I think that's being advertised right now, and we'll get more, hopefully we'll get a coach before the season starts. We talked about the committee schedule, as Dr. Broschel talked about in his superintendent's report. As somebody who's been here for 18 years, I've seen every combination. I can't think of another combination we can come up with yet, but other than what he talked about, I think, is making it a little tighter, making sure we get it done on time, we follow the agendas, we get the work done. So everything worked pretty well for the other way, so it's nothing, whatever the board chooses in January, it's not wrong. I want to make that clear. It's not wrong. The work will get done. We talked about the air quality in Bedwell and the middle school. There was some concern by staff members about mold. And so we hired a third-party environmental company, and they came in and they did testing. And I learned a new word, as everybody else did here. The spores they found outside along in the woods are called patio spores, spores. I'll spell it for anybody who wants to know. Jake. It's B-A-S-I-D-I-O, spores. And they are very prevalent in wooded areas along Chestnut there, and the levels are very high, up to 70 parts per million. And so they went around the buildings and tested not every room, but a good sample of the rooms to see how our HVAC systems were doing. And they're doing a good job in a lot of areas, but they fall short in some areas, especially like the middle school gym and a locker room and things like that. So you want to get it down to around 25. Some of them are running 35 in that range. So we're going to bring it, architects going to bring in engineers, and we're going to try to make the HVAC systems more efficient, check the filtration, the dehumidification, lubrication, ventilation rate, and distribution. So more to come on that. But there is no black mold. People were scared of black mold. There isn't any black mold. Now, we did find some roof leaks occasionally, and obviously our referendum will help address some of those, but we're going to do some short-term remedies on those to keep out the moisture in the building. And speaking of referendums, we talked about the public relations calendar of events coming up for the next 6 months. And so Dr. Brochel developed a calendar showing borough council meetings, HSA meetings, any group that could benefit from learning about the referendum. So just get information and explain why we're doing it and what the tax impact is. So if you know of any group who'd like to have a speaker, you can certainly find one. Okay. We talked about the NJ Department of Education. They are reviewing the referendum plans. They have to review the plans to make sure they meet state requirements. So we should hear from the state by November, early December, and then that will give us enough time to get the ballot question written and approved and on the ballot probably for March. So that will be a Tuesday in March. We hope to vote for it on then. We talked about the budget for the next school year just a little bit. Dr. Brochel talked about a few items that he feels that are critical to the budget, staffing and programs, and we'll be talking about more of that in the future. And the last item we talked about is our demographer. The last time the demographer gave us an update, they did not include a lot of the projects that are being built right now and approved. And we all know that apartments are being built in all 3 towns. Affordable housing is. So we're inviting the demographer back to our next meeting, and they're going to put in their best guess on if all the projects come to fruition, right? Which may not happen. As everybody knows, these projects have been very slow, but you've probably seen the one next to the firehouse in Bernardsville and the one in Far Hill. So those 2 are being built right now. So those are going to impact our student population. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. At this time, then, I would like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 through 10 on the agenda. Mr. Baker, and a second, Ms. Cooper. And is there any discussion as it relates to business operations? Okay, I'm interested. Did you want to clarify something?
I just want to point out number 9.
Okay.
Which is a donation, which I want to thank the AAUW Somerset Hills is giving us $3,000 from the book sale. That's quite generous of them, and it was a good sale this year.
Thank you. Ms. Wright.
Yeah, I just wanted to say how I appreciate the item number 5, the Health Insurance Fund Wellness Grant. I think that encouraging faculty, staff, and I would say maybe even administration, especially with our heart healthy initiative here, to do the right thing and also to reward people for doing the right thing in terms of their health, given that the costs for healthcare are going up so considerably. It's such a good program, and it's bang for the buck. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Is there anybody else? No? Okay, then we'll do roll call, please.
Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Clark Emery.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Gills.
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro.
Yes.
Mrs. Rye.
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Is there anyone that has anything for new or old business this evening as it relates to business operations? Nope. Okay, then Ms. Cooper, you're up for curriculum.
The curriculum committee met Wednesday, September 10th for 2 hours and 15 minutes. All committee members were in attendance, and we were joined by Dr. Brochel, Dr. Butler, Ms. Barna, and Dr. Edgerton. ELA and math tests will change in the 2025-2026 year. Unlike in previous years, the new NJSLA assessment and the NJGPA will be an adaptive test. In adaptive testing, the difficulty and selection of questions are adjusted in real time based on the student's prior responses. To date, the NJDOE has released few details on the new test, but Somerset Hills has been selected as a site for field testing of the new test this fall. Next, Ms. Barner reviewed the 2025 ELA and JSLA results with the committee that she just presented tonight. I won't repeat what you just heard, but I did want to point out a few of the results we specifically discussed in committee. While we were encouraged by the finding that passing rates increased with the time in the district, we were particularly concerned by the low ELA passing rates in grades 3 and 9. And given the relatively low passing rates in grade 3, Ms. Barnett conducted a more detailed investigation into the students with lower scores and presented it at our meeting. First, she noted that the district's internal assessments were predictive of NJSLA results, which is very encouraging. And many of the students who did not pass the NJSLA and ELA started third grade did not achieve the beginning of the year benchmark in ELA. Of those who did not pass the NJSLA, more than half experienced growth in literacy greater than that what is expected in a typical year. Interestingly, half of the third graders who did not pass the test were chronically absent in 2024-2025, and chronic absence is defined as missing 12 or more days of school. A finding that confirms per year, and that the finding that confirms the importance of regular attendance. Regarding grade 9 results, Ms. Barner reminded the committee that unlike in other grades, it's difficult to compare the kids and the performance of the kids in this cohort with the grade 8 results from last year, given the significant differences in the two cohorts. Next, Dr. Edgerton presented the math and science results, and as in ELA, the passing rates in math tended to increase with time in the district with higher passing rates in upper grades. In science, overall passing rates increased from 40.5% in 2024 to 45.1% this year. And then Dr. Butler informed us that in contrast to what I reported last month, Bedwell students will not be receiving 15 minutes additional math instruction per day due to scheduling changes. In response to a request, Dr. Butler reviewed the district policy regarding dissections in biology and anatomy classes, particularly. We discussed the policy, the value of dissections, and potential ethical concerns, and recognized that students are not required to participate in dissections if they or their families have concerns. The committee unanimously supported the policy as written. Next, a committee member requested that the district's policies regarding the distribution of forms regarding opting out of the health curriculum be reviewed, and that's policy 2422. This policy will be reviewed by the policy committee in a future meeting. We then discussed graduation rates in the district in response to a board member's comment regarding the district's improving U.S. News and World Report rankings at the last public meeting. While Dr. Brochel indicated that he typically does not reference rankings other than those produced by the NJDOE, he did mention that improvements in the district's graduation rate in 2024, which is 90%, versus 2023, 86%, may have resulted in a slight improvement in the rankings. Graduation rates in 2023 were influenced by rates in students with disabilities who in 2023 were exempted from standardized testing, and in MLL students who took advantage of the 5th year to graduate, which is expected given the time it takes to acquire a language. It is likely that future metrics will be maintained in the future. Metrics will be maintained at a minimum in next year's rankings. And finally, as in all committees this month, we discussed the timing of committee meetings, and as Dr. Brochel noted, there was really no unanimous consensus, but committee members did suggest that changes to committee scheduling should be avoided whenever possible. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. I would like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 through 5 on the agenda. Ms. Cooper, and a second. Ms. Rye, and discussion regarding curriculum.
I have a question. With regards to the field testing, I think in committee I made an assumption that we would get the results from that field testing, but is that the case, or will that only go to the state?
So my assumption, and again, the state has been coy on specifics. My assumption is that they're doing the field tests to ensure that the state can absorb the tech, so they can execute the test in the spring free of technological issues. Now, that may change 2 or 3 times between now and when we do the field tests, but my assumption is that it's really more so on the tech side, not so much on producing relevant information, but again, that is yet to be told. The department has announced some webinars this week and next week, so I would expect that by the next curriculum committee meeting, we'll have a little more definition on that.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Baker.
And you might not be able to answer this one too, Dr. Buck. It's like, with the adaptive testing, will a student who's very proficient get it done quicker because they're answering their questions correctly, or will they still be the same length no matter what?
There are a lot of questions about the adaptive testing. I'm fairly certain that by the October regular public meeting and the next curriculum committee meeting, I'll have more detail on that. So, yeah, I don't want to misspeak.
Mr. Baker, just in the course of that conversation, we were peppering poor Ms. Barna and Ms. Edgerton. We had about 9 million questions, and the answer that we got is the state has not shared any information for us to be able to answer those questions. So we're all in the same place, I think, and unfortunately, our administrators have not received the information that they need. So you're with the rest of us in the questions. Is there anybody else that needs? Yes, Ms. Emma.
Just in regards to the improving rate rankings for us for the U.S. Gold Diggers report, another board member did state that the top 15 schools were private schools. I just wanted to make sure that we were accurate because it's actually Milburn High School is number 12 and Glenridge High School is number 13. So I just wanted to make sure that they got it correct, that we got it right. So just wanted to put that in there. Still, we did a great job, so thank you guys.
Thank you for adding that context. Is there anybody else for curriculum? Okay, then we can do roll call.
Ms. Clark Emery.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Gills.
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro.
Yes.
Mrs. Rye.
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, does anybody have anything for new or old business for curriculum? Nope. Okey dokey. Ms. Ballard, personnel.
Thank you, Mrs. Frenda. We met on September 11th. Everyone on the committee was present. We started our meeting at 6:40 p.m. We reviewed the regular public meeting personnel section, agenda and attachments. There was a discussion around clarity when it comes to volunteers and the compensation they may receive. Additionally, as Mr. Baker mentioned, the district will advertise for a girls wrestling coach for the winter season. And that is the personnel report.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 through 19 on the agenda. Ms. Ballard, and a second. Ms. Gills, and is there any discussion? Nope. Okay, then roll call.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Ms. Gills.
Yes.
Mrs. Santoro.
Yes.
Mrs. Rye.
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Clark Emery.
Yes.
Mrs. Frenda.
Yes.
The motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anything for new or old business in regards to personnel? No. Okay, then we will move into policy, Ms. Ballard.
All right, let's go. So we reviewed a lot of policies. We had a discussion around policy 0164, which is conduct of board meeting. An issue was raised about the timing of public comments. There was research presented that I had done of 5 different school districts, and then there was administrative research as well. Dr. Brochel completed some grammatical and formatting updates on policy 0164, which we appreciated. It deleted superfluous language, and it looks and reads much better. So the research presented was from the boards of Bernards Township, Elizabeth, Mendham, Milburn, and Shrewsbury. There were slight differences between the different districts. 3 of these districts have 2 public comment sessions, like us. First session on agenda items, second session on any topic. 2 districts allowed for only 1 comment session. Additionally, the research presented in the administrative research demonstrated similar variations. Our goal is to ensure that we always give the public the right to be heard. Our discussion played out various scenarios dealing with timing, with concern continuing to be expressed about the late hour of our second general public comment session, which may make it difficult for folks to attend and comment. Other comments included a reminder of best practices, that board meetings are a meeting of the board in public, not a meeting of the public, as well as a statement expressing that we have to get the work in. The committee did agree to a change on number 6 of the policy, public questions and comments for actionable agenda items, which currently reads, "This is an open time session for the public to make comments on actionable agenda items." We will add the ability for the public to comment on public reports at this time, as this comment session follows the superintendent's report, which often includes public reports. This may provide the opportunity for more comments in the first session, provided the comments meet that criteria. Otherwise, however, the committee chose to make no substantive changes to the policy. Then we discussed Regulation 5516, which is the use of electric communication devices. We heard our students talk a little bit about the cell phone policy. This regulation mirrors our actual practice, which is grades K to 8 cell phones. There's no access to cell phones during the day. Middle schoolers put their phones in the lockers. Grades 9 to 12, you bring it into the class and put it in the fotel or the prison, the phone prison. Then students can take the phones into their next class for instruction and repeat that process. Students have phones for passing and for lunch. Devices are not permitted in bathrooms or locker rooms. The regulation speaks to discipline and consequences and will be enforced pursuant to the Code of Conduct. It also is a significant restriction on how long the students can use their devices during the school day. Again, this reflects our current practice, which will continue to be evaluated. And we moved on to Regulation 5511, which is dress and grooming. All 3 school principals worked together with Dr. Brochel to craft policies within each school so they are aligned within the district. Questions arose around indecent as used in both the middle school and high school dress codes. The decision around what is indecent is subjective. This code is not siloed. Communications will occur between the principals and the superintendent. Other concerns raised included the possible targeting of girls. The importance of educating students on what is appropriate was also discussed. Policy 2422, health and physical education. The proposal was to develop regulation for 2422 to codify administrative procedures connected to this policy. The regulation will address the opt-in, opt-out process. It was suggested that paper forms go home for the opt-in, opt-out process to make it easier for parents. So you'll hear more about this in the future. Finally, Policy 5756, transgender students. There was a request from a committee member to examine references to parent disclosure limitations, and it's included but not limited to page 3, student-centered approach, sentence 1 and sentence 4, page 4, paragraph 2, sentence 1, page 5, which deals with confidentiality and privacy, paragraph 1, sentence 1, page 5, confidentiality and privacy, paragraph 2, sentence 1. We also discussed the New Jersey law against discrimination and New Jersey commissioner guidance. A discussion ensued. Concern was expressed about students revealing information to teachers and the teachers not being required to share such confirmation with parents, as there is no affirmative duty to do so. Several hypothetical situations were discussed and described. A question was asked and remained unanswered as to what had changed in regards to the law since November 2024, when this issue was raised and discussed both in committee and in the public meeting. Additionally, concern was expressed about the current climate of negativity towards and the vulnerability of trans folks and the potential impact of the continual revisitation of this policy without substantive reasons given for potential change. A straw ball was taken as to whether to take this to the full board. The result, 3 noes, 1 yes, 1 abstention. And then there was multiple policies for second reading. The meeting concluded at 7:20 p.m. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Ballard. So then at this time, I would like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 and 2 on the agenda. Ms. Santoro, and a second? Ms. Gills, and is there any discussion?
I just have to bring up, I'm not entirely.
Is your mic on?
Sorry. I just have to bring up, I'm not entirely comfortable that there is no conversation, particularly with regards to 5756. And the reason being is that subsequent to our meeting, we received follow-up email from a committee member who was present. And that committee, that is then recommending, that person is asking for it to be on the agenda next month again. And Felicia, I think that we had a conversation as it pertained, the committee answered the question as to whether the policy upheld the law against discrimination in New Jersey, which we feel it does. And furthermore, you expressed it beautifully that we are concerned that this policy keeps coming up repetitively in our district without substantial changes and the negativity that that could be portraying to our transgender community. So I would like to have, the request was made, we honored that request in committee. I think that we need to bring this to some level of closure this evening and not continue, because it's not the will of the committee to continue to discuss this in committee meetings.
Yes, Ms. Ballard.
So in the letter that we received after the meeting, something that was brought up was that a feeling that this had not been discussed before. There was a comment made that in November of 2024, that we had addressed this issue. And I went back and checked the documents, and we certainly had in both policy committee, and there was a discussion in the open meeting. And if people at home want to look, it starts at 1:30, because I watched it again today, and it was a pretty robust discussion. The other thing that was in the letter, which I found troubling, was that the suggestion that we not bring it back to the board was a lack of transparency. I think we've been very transparent. We've shared our discussions, and that's the reason why actually I'm bringing up this letter, because I feel like we need to resolve this. Finally, just to echo the point that Heather said and we discussed in our meeting, I feel like members of our trans community right now, and the trans community across the whole world, are really vulnerable now. There's a lot of attacks increasing, and I think we really need to handle this. These are folks with an identity that needs to be treated a certain way according to the policy against discrimination. They're not sick. It's not something that we need to solve. It's something we need to honor. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you, Ms. Ballard. Yes, Ms. Gills.
Asking questions does not make somebody anti-something. Asking questions is just curiosity. And I don't think it's a dead issue, because unfortunately the federal government has come down and said there are only two genders. And I know there's a court case right now, I think in the 3rd district, discussing this. We cannot, I mean, we are allowed to have a blanket policy where we have no affirmative action to inform parents. And I said I wouldn't speak on this today, so I'm not very prepared for this. But I wasn't prepared for it to just be closed either. You weren't in the meeting, so I feel like that's a bit disingenuous if you had been, but you weren't. But I was asked to withhold speaking about it this month, and now it's kind of like, well, now it's a dead issue, so we're not speaking about it. What I hope to accomplish is tailoring that so that it's more detailed. We don't talk about age. We don't talk about situations. It's just a blanket covering every trans student, and every trans student is different from one another, just like every individual is different. Different needs, different ages. So I understand we have no affirmative action. I don't agree with that, keeping information, especially such important information from parents. It's almost like we're not trusting the parents or giving them any grace. But we are not barred from tailoring that policy to make it more specific. And I'm not prepared to speak about it now, but I know there is a case currently in the Third Circuit, and I know I don't know how to bring the two issues together. Like, we have a president who's saying there's only two genders. We know that's not accurate. So how do we do this without violating federal statutes, which of course right now there are none, but there is this case working up, and the Supreme Court has already ruled we do not have an affirmative action. That's the law of the land. So I don't think it's fair to ask me to not speak on it and then bar me from speaking on it next month. You weren't in the meeting, so you would never know.
I wasn't in the meeting.
Oh, you were? Oh, so sorry. She's on policy. No.
And I think that the asking not to speak on it was misinterpreted, right? The asking not to, nobody was asked not to speak on it.
I was asked not to speak on it.
that is not
I
on
think
here.
that was misinterpreted, Sylvia, because you asked to put it on the agenda. And even though we have discussed it, and you're bringing up law that is not settled, right? So nothing has actually.
Well, it's settled in that we don't have an affirmative, so we're working in the law.
Right. We agreed to talk about it again because we wanted to honor your request. When I think you misinterpreted the notion not to speak about it is when we, as certain committee members, put our concerns forth about repetitively talking about it in public without material change to the detriment of our transgender community. And so it was never that nobody should talk about it, because we put it on, once it goes on a committee agenda, it's going to be discussed in public, once it has been discussed in committee. I think there were committee members that were trying to express concern over that component of this dialogue. So I don't think, nobody ever told you not to talk about it, and that's where.
No, I was asked, nobody ever told me. I was just asked, and that we would again pick it up in October.
That was absolutely never discussed.
Well, that's what I would like, because I have fallen down a rabbit hole, and I would have brought my research today, but I respected, I don't want to say the person who asked me from refraining of speaking on it today, but I respected that wish, and now it's kind of like, oh, well.
Well, but that's a misinterpretation. What was asked was to please understand the sensitivity involved in discussion of this matter. How you received that is different, but it was never said that to not speak about it in public. Additionally, we received the minutes from that meeting, and Ms. Ballard reported out on the discussion. So therefore, there was no, like, we're not talking about this in public. We had the minutes to review prior to this meeting. The minutes were a readout of what took place in committee, and then that discussion is open at that time. So we should all come prepared based on the information that we receive. And that's just an important piece. As for the executive order that you mentioned regarding proclaiming two sexes, that has literally zero bearing on anything that we do. Literally. An executive order is not an order for us to do anything. It tells the executive branch how the president wants them to carry out laws. It dictates the executive branch approach to laws, but not state or local. The president saying it does not make it so, and it's an interpretation by him, but no ability to self-execute. So that's the role of the federal courts. And we have no ruling that from any entity, whether it's the Third Circuit, whether it's the federal government, most importantly, the Supreme Court, that supersedes the law against discrimination. So in referencing this policy, as per our code of ethics, it does not say anything in our code of ethics. Item A, I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures. Uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education. It says absolutely nothing about the federal Board of Education, Department of Education. We are beholden to the state, and we all sign off on this code of ethics every year in reorganization after our training. So while there may be some perceived conflict between federal and state issues, mandates, statutes, this is what we are guided by. And that is very important for all of us to remember. But that being said, regardless, the law against discrimination, which this policy is based on, supersedes all of that. That is the law of this state, and that is what this policy is based on, and that is what we are dutifully bound to conform to. As for the policy itself and tweaking it and making changes, as you mentioned, there is no affirmative duty to report. It does not say we are prohibited from reporting. It says there's no affirmative duty to report. And what that allows in this policy is for everything to be taken on a case-by-case basis and to give grace to the students that are confiding and do due diligence about what is happening in their life, in their home, and how this could potentially impact them and their family. With the overarching notion to be for those that the student has confided in, the principal of the building, our counseling staff, to bring the student and the parents together to resolve and come to resolution and establish that comfort for these conversations to take place. So there is so much nuance, and I am unaware of a situation in this district where we have had an issue appropriately executing this policy as it is written. But beyond that, again, the law against discrimination is our guiding light. This policy conforms to the law against discrimination. At this moment in time, today, there is no conflict.
My ask is to, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Baker.
I'm going to make a suggestion. We need to kick the can down the road, because until the New Jersey courts rule on this, it's pointless to have any further discussion, because this board is not going to change their mind on that, right? And that will happen. There's no rush. It will happen in the next few months. So let's wait, because we're just going around in circles. And we have a lot more other things to do. So let's just wait, right? And let's just stop the conversation and move on.
Let me just address a few things. First of all, speaking about trans students, I don't know how it would harm them. We speak about all different types of students. When we put the Hispanic scores up there and we point out that they're lower, how do you think the Hispanic students feel? That's okay though. That's acceptable. Okay, what about when we're talking about how we're not servicing them by the letter of the state law that we're supposed to uphold for years? That, we took an oath, we're supposed to uphold laws. We weren't. We were getting waivers. Secondly, when the federal always, in law, supersedes the state. Yes, it does.
No,
So if
that is absolutely incorrect.
Sotomayor herself said it. The Supreme Court, the Constitution is the law of the land. So if it's in conflict with the state law, which it's not yet, we always then have to follow the federal law. It supersedes state law. Always.
There has been no ruling from the federal government.
I'm sorry?
There has been no ruling from the Supreme
I
Court.
know, but I'm getting a bad feeling when the man is saying there are only two genders, it's only gonna get worse. So why not tailor it before, get a jump? Put some guidelines, I'm still talking though. Put some guidelines on, like, how do we treat a child who's 6 or 7 as opposed to a child who's 17? I would hope we're not treating them exactly the same. And I know you mentioned case by case, and that makes me feel a little calmer. But I think it's disingenuous to say when you speak about a certain group, you're putting them in harm's way. We speak about many groups of children.
Hold on. Wait. There are people who have the table who haven't spoken.
Yeah, I just want to make a correction. We don't report out on Hispanic. We report out on multi-language learners, which encompass a greater
Right, but the
population.
bilingual is Hispanic.
Multi-language, like, could be, it doesn't, yes,
No,
well,
no,
could-
bilingual
not
has to be
every,
Hispanic.
not in all cases, but that's not,
In
we
this
don't,
case, yes.
we don't, but the other issue is that the committee voted not to move this to the bigger board. Why do we keep, I really don't feel
I don't know,
strongly
why
that.
do we keep talking about the board minutes or meetings and how we run them? These things come up, and it's not just me thinking of it, it's people approaching me, or emailing me, or calling me. I'm not the only one who has a concern over this, and I understand we do not have an affirmative duty. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't. And take it case by case, that's good to hear, rather than just everyone's treated exactly the same because everybody is individuals. And again, I take umbrage with, because I'm asking about this, I'm transphobic. First of all, it's the wrong use of the word phobic. I have no irrational fear of transgendered people. I welcome them, I love them, as I hope they would love me. That's it. But this is a worrisome policy for me as a parent, to pull me out of my child's life when I could be really, really helpful. And you don't know that. You're just going by what maybe a 7-year-old might say, where a 17-year-old, you might give more weight to that. This is new to me too. And asking questions does not make somebody phobic toward a certain group. I think that's disingenuous. I think it's unfair. And when you say we never said that. Oh, no, I've been called that. And the violence against transgenders go up because I bring up a topic, that's crazy. I don't know who I am that I'm bringing up, that I'm that important. Secondly, you say to yourself, we have an oath to follow state laws. Why weren't we following those laws for the bilingual kids? That was acceptable. No, that's not what was.
Excuse me, Ms. Wright, just to answer that question, because the waiver is built into that law and allows us to be able to continue to craft and evaluate
For years and years.
Yes, for years and years as the population changed. So we weren't violating anything. We were actually following the law and following process and procedure. If we had done nothing, yes, that would be accurate, but we never did that. And there was a lot of work that goes into applying for that waiver that Mr. Catelli did year over year over year over year. So to make it seem as if we
I
just...
never stated it.
Okay, but to say that we were just violating the law is not accurate. But Ms. Emery has been waiting to speak.
So I just want to be clear on my end, because if I start talking wrong, someone stop me. But when this was brought up, it was solely based on parents, disclosure to parents. And there were different things, scenarios that were being presented. And as a parent, obviously, I thought, okay, this is a concern. But I needed to know more. And it's not just, it's the policy itself, but there's other things that go along with this. And it specifically says, parent disclosure limitations, teachers not being required to share such confirmations with parents as there is no affirmative duty to do so. But in the safety and the protection of each child, I had a moment, thank God, to talk to Sam as well as Dr. Brochel, who took the time to explain to me. Thank you again. But it's important that it is case by case, and it's a matter of the safety for each student that they are analyzing. Just talking about parent disclosure with this policy. That's it. Nothing else. Because it's important that they do their due diligence, which they do, because I was explained very clearly about how this works for every student. And if I were a parent, I would expect the same consideration, treatment, and gentleness to go into my child, if needed, God forbid, before they come to me about it. So if anybody has any questions just about the parent stuff, they're here. Dr. Brochel, I don't want to put any more on your plate, but please feel free to reach out, because it's a grave disservice for us to think that it's a blanket and it's not on an individual basis where they have the time and care to look after each student, for the parents, everybody.
I would like to call the question.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. I need a second for that motion. Ms. Ballard and Mr. O'Reilly need to do roll on that.
Ms. Gills.
Yes.
Mrs. Seaver.
Yes.
Mrs. Rock.
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Clark-Emery.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Mrs. Friend.
Yes. Okay, so the motion passes, which means we are now going to go into roll call for policy.
Look, are we ending discussion for everything?
Yes. He called the previous question. That ends discussion.
On the agenda items, Ms. Gills.
Yes.
Mrs. Seaver.
Yes.
Mrs. Rock.
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Clark-Emery.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper.
Yes.
Mrs. Friend.
Yes. Okay, thank you. We are going to move into the report of student services.
New and old business?
I'm sorry, old new business and old business, my apologies.
I would like to add something into the bucket. I'd like to drop the Supreme Court in there and talk about with the notification of parents who want to opt out of certain lessons based on religious objections. I know I just learned we have a procedure. I wonder if we can draft a policy so that these, the parents who do have objections are very, very well informed about it and are given the opportunity to opt out of lessons they find clash with their religious beliefs, which I assume is a very small number, but it's better to have a policy than no policy. That's what I would like to add to next month's policy committee meeting.
So I will, a couple of items. We did discuss this at the August curriculum committee level, and we reported out on that at the August regular public meeting regarding the Supreme Court case Mahmoud versus Taylor, specifically regarding how we were implementing it at the school level. For benefit of repetition, we are on a monthly basis informing parents regarding materials, curricular that are used that aren't specifically stated, that, you know, and you see this a lot at the elementary level with literature materials that teachers implement. So we can review that next month as far as the level of compliance that we're exercising there.
Thank you.
Sure, yep.
Is there anything else?
New for new business?
I'm sorry?
For new business or policy?
Yeah.
Yeah, this might be a little bit long-winded, but we've talked a lot about meeting logistics this month, but meeting efficiency isn't just about schedules. It's about how we conduct ourselves as board members. Our community expects and deserves a board that models professionalism and civility. This year, several committee meetings have been disrupted by a board member's behavior that is simply unacceptable, including the repeated airing of personal grievances unrelated to district business, and most disturbingly, discussion that has devolved into personal attacks and threats. These actions waste valuable time, discourage open participation, and place an unfair burden on administrators, the board president, and the board members who are here to do the district's work. When meetings break down this way, our ability to serve students and the staff is diminished. It undermines public trust, delays district business, and makes committee participation unnecessarily difficult. The public deserves a board that models the very civility and accountability we ask of our students. In our public meeting, Robert's Rules gives us tools to address disorder. Committees lack those mechanisms, and which makes them vulnerable. To protect the work of this board, I suggest that we consider adding a civility policy specific to committees, or moving to a committee of the whole structure, where order can be maintained consistently. Maybe these are topics that can be discussed in a future policy committee meeting. I want to be clear, I value the committee system and the tremendous progress this structure has enabled our board to make, but we cannot allow repeated disruptions to interfere with the district's mission. We owe it to our administrators, our community, and most importantly, our students to ensure our meetings remain civil, focused, and productive.
I just want to clarify, so the asks are for policy, a civility policy for committee
Yes,
and discussion regarding
the committee as a
of a
whole.
whole. Okay, so Ms. Ballard and Dr. Virgil, okay. I just want to clarify something.
I'm sorry, can I just get, taking notes here? So civility policy for,
For committee meetings.
and then, did you say committee of the whole examination?
I think it's worthy of
It would be policy.
Okay, thank you.
I want to second that for new business. I'm really interested in that dialogue and hearing some of your feedback from your previous district, Dr. Rochelle.
Let me just correct something that you said that was incorrect. No threats were ever made only about me, at me. I've never threatened anybody. You can think like that, but I've never made a threat to anybody on this board where I have been a target for 11 months.
Okay, excuse me.
I'm just correcting Nicole.
That's,
and
but
I
we're
have a
not
right
going
do
to,
that.
she's making a request for.
And I'm making a request that we do not lie at board meetings about committee
Well,
meetings.
this goes back to the civility issue, this type of back and
Yes,
forth
it
between
should.
individual board members is not appropriate.
Right, but I don't think it's appropriate to lie at a meeting either.
Okay, that's, first of all, we're not going to call people liars.
I didn't call her a liar.
And Ms. Cooper framed this in a completely anonymous way. So there should be no cross conversation regarding this. So the new business has been shared. Is there anyone else that has anything for new business?
Yes, I want to discuss that we don't lie at board meetings.
All right, we're done with that. Is there
Okay,
anybody else
thank
that
you.
has anything for new business? So typical. It's very typical. It is my job as the board president to maintain. Ms. Gills, the mocking is unacceptable.
There's
It is
no mocking, I'm just accepting it. You're just throwing
That's
it
right,
in,
that's
and I'm
great that
accepting
you
it.
can accept it. I am the board president. My goal, I am charged with maintaining order and civility here. That is my job. I apologize that whether you don't like that I'm board president, how I execute my role. In January, there is the opportunity to re-elect a new board president, but this is my job right now.
Samantha, it has nothing against you.
Okay, but it's, you're saying, of course, typical, that is a direct commentary on how I'm running this meeting. So we're going to move on from this because this personal crosstalk is absolutely unacceptable. So we are going to move into the report
Or
of
a
the student
text
service.
on someone's family.
Okay. Student services. We met on September 11th. That's roughly 7:30. I'm just going, sorry. Let me just compose myself. All committee members were present, and like all the other committees, we discussed committee timing, et cetera, that has been well covered by everybody, including Dr. Broschel in his superintendent report. The bulk of our meeting was spent on the calendar and just confirming with Dr. Broschel and Dr. Butler that the committee wanted to proceed with what we had discussed last month with a few tweaks. So Dr. Butler is going to be making recommendations to modify the spring break and then the snow day give backs. To just, the idea is to evenly space that, to give kids time off, when we have long periods without time off, to try and give them a break, students and staff. We did take a look at the 27-28 calendar, and we had initially thought that we might move the start week up another week. However, the calendar is not cooperating. And that approach was going to have an end day for staff, or for students, I should say, on May 31st, which we felt would put a burden on the community, because having to figure out child care camps for an entire month of June is a big change from what our community is used to. So we're gonna look at that again and take a less aggressive of an approach in the 27-28 year. So that is in the works. Our goal is to have it for everyone to look
I just add one thing? Just by way of reminder, I did send us the 2 calendar drafts out to the board. If you could take the next month to look at them. There's a draft for 26-27 and a draft for 27-28. The only areas in 26-27 that we have not allocated are the snow day givebacks. In the event that we have them, Dr. Butler and I are working on that. But the rest, you can kind of make heads or tails of the rest of the calendar. The board or the committee's desire was to have a little more balance, particularly in the winter and spring, as far as how the calendar was laid out, and I believe that you have arrived at that goal.
Yes, thank you, and thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Bushels. And I just want to reiterate, and I am glad to hear from one of our student reporters. That's good feedback. You know, we are doing this because we want to add instructional time that is beneficial to students. And so we are looking to work with the community on this. We're not trying to bring hardship to anybody. And so, you know, we feel like we're getting there and we're really trying to strike a good balance. So we're happy with where that is. We then discussed the extended school year, and we are going to be including that when we approve the calendars, which is going to benefit our families that students participate in the ESY program. And the committee was also very pleased to hear that that is going to go from a 4-week program to a 5-week program going forward. So we think getting those dates out to families will be beneficial. And finally, we just kind of recapped, we talked about the memorandum of agreement that was signed for the school climate improvement platform process. And once again, I know we've talked about this month after month, but the committee is really excited for the district to embark on this work. And, you know, we think it is important to get the feedback of all the staff and the students and really utilize that to make this an even better place for our staff to work and our students to learn. And then finally, we touched on athletics briefly and, you know, that the importance of really driving towards those goals that we set forth, the handbooks that were created through hard work this summer, really reinforcing that. And then also learning, you know, as we drill down into climate work, where that may bring other areas of our district and improvements we can make to co-curriculars, athletics, and all of our programming. So, that is the end of my report. Ms. Brenda.
Thank you very much. Then at this time, I would like to ask for a motion to approve action items number 1 and 2 on the agenda. Ms. Cooper, second. Ms. Kills, and discussion.
I'd like to say, oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. She go first.
You already kind of said it. I really enjoy hearing the student feedback on some of our recent changes. So I thought that was great. It's, you know, it's nice to see how some of our decisions are affecting the kids. So thanks for that.
And how engaged they are.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that was briefly discussed in public, and they're already,
Yeah.
you know, I think that speaks a lot to our student population. Yes, Ms. Kills.
Perhaps we can push the FOTEL rather than the phone jail. Did you all discuss in committee about maybe rather than starting or starting earlier and having a February break rather than the Easter break or spring break in March?
Do you want to take that or do you want me?
I can, and then you can
Yeah.
fill in any gaps. I think the intent of the committee was to take advantage to the greatest extent that we could of instructional time in advance of high-stakes standardized testing as an example, and inserting breaks inside of the calendar negates our ability to meet that goal. So that was the intention there. There is, I believe, a long weekend in February and a long weekend in January, but we did not get aggressive with like midwinter breaks. You will see you will see spring recess not connected to Easter in there, so you kind of have that addressed.
And I will say, I'm gonna jump in, the longer periods of days without breaks are March and April. Those were our periods where if we're not careful with how we plot out spring break, you could be going weeks and weeks without any time off. So, that was very important to us, but as Dr. Brochel said, we're really looking for that instructional time.
And
So
we're
we're
pulling
not
in-
looking to start, we're not, as a committee, we're not looking to add days to the calendar and just start earlier. We really want that additional instructional time for students.
And staff is okay so far?
We solicit feedback and input from them, and I will share that with the committee
Thanks.
when that comes in.
Thank
Yep.
Sorry, thank you. Is there any, yes, Ms. Ballard?
So just to throw another bit into the mix, a community member reached out to me on the way actually here, so I don't know the dates of it, but they asked that we consider when the VOTEC vacations are, because if we don't consider that, there's a possibility that it's very hard for families, and also that maybe those children will not get a break, depending. So I don't know the dates of that. I'll have to do my research, but so I'm just throwing that in the mix and representing that.
We can examine that for sure.
Is there anybody else? No? Okay. And roll call, please.
Mrs. Santoro.
Yes.
Mrs. Rye.
Yes.
Mr. Baker.
Yes.
Ms. Ballard.
Yes.
Ms. Clark Emery.
Yes.
Ms. Cooper. Ms. Gills.
Yes.
And Mrs. Frenda.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And because I do get sloppy and sometimes forget to say new and old business, my apologies last round. Does anybody have anything for new and or old business for student services? No? Okay. Okay, then we will move into board announcements. The views and opinions that are may be expressed by individual members of the Somerset Hills Board of Education during board announcements are solely those of the individual board members and do not reflect the views, opinions, policies, regulations, and/or positions of the Somerset Hills Board of Education and/or any other individual members of the board. Does anybody have anything for board announcements? I would just like to add something. Dr. Brochel did a wonderful job in his superintendent report highlighting the committee meeting that we had and that we have had for the last several years, and what an amazing event that is for our MLL community, and specifically our Spanish-speaking community, and how that event has grown over time. I kind of wanted to add on a little bit to that and give a huge plug to the Bedwell and BMS HSA, as they have brought back and undertaken a very robust bilingual HSA meeting. And I was able to attend that last night via Zoom, and the attendance at that meeting far exceeded the attendance at I was just at the BHS regular HSA meeting, and it far exceeded that. And there was so much engagement, and there was so much sharing of information, and on top of that, a major shout out to the bilingual liaisons, Andrea and Mariola, and the work that they're doing, the maintaining of the WhatsApp groups. I just wanted to give a huge shout out to the extraordinary work that is being done in that capacity. So thank you so much for doing that, and it's great work. Is there anybody else? Yeah.
And I will just say, I always really appreciate hearing from our student representatives, and I know they rotate at the middle school, which is wonderful, and I love getting introduced to our new high school students. So it looks like we will be getting great feedback, and it's always a highlight of the meeting, and very appreciative of them taking their time to come and do this, because I know they've got a lot of work on their plate at home, so.
Yes, and I gotta say, for the first one out of the gate, our middle school kids were amazing, and our high school kids crushed it too. Just impressive all around, so I would definitely second that.
I just want to add credit to the individuals that Sam mentioned. Also, Nat Hill is very involved and helpful with the Hispanic population in this town. So I just wanted to give her recognition.
Okay, thank you, yes, for everybody participating in that work, just major things. Okay, we will move into public comments now. These public comments are for all items, regardless time on any topic. Please state your name and address. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you'll be interrupted and asked to pause to allow any other members of the public who would like to speak an opportunity to do so. An individual may return to the podium to complete their statement after everyone else has had an opportunity to speak for a total of 2 times at the podium. Please understand that our public forums are not structured as question and answer sessions, but are offered as opportunities to share your thoughts with the board. In instances where the board feels there is a misunderstanding or inaccuracy, the board president or superintendent may address the comment. In accordance with New Jersey statute, the board will not discuss matters regarding specific personnel. A reminder for all parties in attendance to remain respectful that there should be no interaction between the speaker and the audience. No members of the audience should interfere with or interrupt the speaker's comments. We thank you in advance for your input. And I just kind of wanted to add on for a second to the back and forth portion of that. I think I mentioned it at a previous meeting at some point, but I just want to reiterate that when public comments are made, the response will wait until public comments are closed. So especially for those new individuals that are here, just so that you know that like the real-time dialogue back and forth will not take place. So if there is anybody who would like to come to the podium right now, please do so. Yep. Yeah. And just state your name and.
Great. My name is Carlos Abad. I live at 131 Conklin Street in Basking Ridge. I'm a retired entrepreneur. I'm also a son of immigrants, and I was a receiver of free school meals throughout school. We have over 300 kids in the Somerset Hills School District, which are receiving free or reduced school meals. And I can assure you that a lot of them are suffering from food insecurity at home. What I'm looking to do is we're partnering with the school district, and in starting a Food for Kids, Somerset Hills School District for Kids food drive. It's an online food drive, and the overall objective is to be able to create a weekend meals program for the kids. So the way the program will work is pretty simple. We're going to do the fundraiser. Once we have the funds, we have a nutritionist. We're going to deal with the parents. We will then partner with a food bank or a pantry locally. The food will be purchased in bulk. It'll be broken down by them into a 1-gallon bag that then will be placed by the teachers into the kids' into the backpack, so that nobody else has to see them getting these meals. We're going to be starting with the younger kids and working our way up, depending on how much money we raise and what foods we actually decide to put into it is going to be determine how many kids we can feed. But the idea is that this is going to become an annual program, because it's not going to stop after 1 year, and chances are that things may be getting worse. So it's going to cost. We're figuring it's going to cost about $11 to feed a kid for a weekend. If you multiply by the 37 of the school year, it's about $407 for the school kids. Like I said, I'm a retired entrepreneur. My friend is a marketing guy. We're going after religious organizations, Rotary clubs. I'm working with the Lions Club. I'm the cheerleader out there. And what I'm hoping is that you can help me get the parents involved. This is about awareness. First we have to realize this is happening in our backyard. And this is a solution. You're helping feed a local kid in need. I can't think of many things that are more basic than that. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to start this on October 6th. It'll end at the end of November, so it gives us about 8 weeks. I've worked with a lot of college kids on entrepreneurial programs, so I'm hoping to create a really good experience for the high school kids, get them really involved in this, and give them something where they're going to be able to develop some life skills along with the entrepreneurial mindset, overcoming struggles, resilience, that kind of stuff built into it. So that's what my objective is with this. So Carlos Abad, Food for Kids NJ. Anybody that wants to, I'll give you my card. If you know anybody, like your local church, your local I'm getting businesses involved. So this is really about community. And on the back end, on the front end, we're a grassroots organization. On the back end, we're a tech startup. So what we're really hoping to do is create a channel so that there's a lot of great things that are happening in the nonprofit world out here at services, and be that channel for broadcasting it. Because we're going to be capturing the emails, stuff that a lot of the nonprofits don't do. They're focused on doing good work. They're not very good marketer and salespeople. That's what we are. So what we're really trying to do is use those skills to help them. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have some contact information you could leave with me? That'd be
Sir,
terrific.
could you also sign in on the sheet that's up there with your name and address for the record? Thank you.
and I am old school. I do have business cards. So, you get one. You get one. Yeah, looking for everybody to get involved. And like, this is every dollar is going to be going to help the kids in our own town. So that's it. Thank you.
Hi, Allison Labrera, 10 Stephen Street, Bernardsville. I would like to thank Dr. Broschel and Dr. Butler for listening to the community and working to enhance our special services. This year, several new positions were added, including a behaviorist. More push-in classes have been made available, giving more students access to special education teachers in both math and English. This is a very positive step forward for our SHSD district. With that being said, there is still important work to be done. Over the summer, I received a call from a parent who was extremely upset. Her child, who was diagnosed with dyslexia, received Orton-Gillingham therapy last year. However, the child was never given a baseline reading test before beginning the program, nor tested at the end of the school year to measure progress. Despite this, the parents were told that the service would no longer be available to them or their child. Even though their child was still not reading at grade level and continued to need support. The family felt like they had no choice but to hire an advocate. Ultimately, they were able to secure Orton-Gillingham for the first half of the school year. But my question is why? Why do parents have to hire advocates? Why do families have to fight so hard for such a basic, evidence-based service? If a child has dyslexia diagnosis and is not reading at grade level, why wouldn't they automatically receive the support they need? As a district, I really feel like this is where we still need to do better. I still have time. I would also, on a separate topic, I would also like to thank Mrs. Clark Emery. I really appreciate that you took the time to talk to Dr. Broschel and inform yourself of the whole complete policy, and that you did it with such an open mind that you were able to see the purpose behind it and how it not only protects the school, but it also protects children that are already marginalized. And I really, really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Sorry, I'm short. Michelle Dooley, 8 Olcott Ave. I'm a teacher at Bedwell, and I have 3 kids, one at Bedwell, 2 at the middle school. Also, the cricket is still here, so just an update on that. But I would also like to thank the board for keeping kids safe, and I really appreciate that because I want, and I've come up here speaking about this for 4 years now, that I want our LGBTQ community to know that we love and support them and we're here for them, and there are people thinking about you at all times. I want to say that thank you again to the board, because I hope we can refocus, like we've figured that out, and I would like to focus on things that actually help our kids. From the smallest of, like, I was in the pouring rain today, getting kids into car rider, and we did it, small things like that, to bigger things like working to be a better teacher for our MLLs. Like, thank you, I'm on the board minutes for being able to do sheltered instruction, which I really look forward to, even though I've taught for 20 years, I can learn more to teach all my students. And I just look forward to doing more things that we can do to focus on our kids, what they're doing well, and what we can do to help them. And lastly, I love also the middle school and high school kids that spoke, and I was talking to my partner in crime over there, and we were thinking maybe we'd get some Bedwell kids to come, because that would be really cool too. So thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anybody else at this time that would like to make a public comment? No? Okay, then can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 9:50.